The MLS standings are really starting to take shape here in Season 1 of our New England Revolution career mode. To the surprise of absolutely no one, Lionel Messi's Inter Miami are top of the table. However, with 2 games in hand, the Philadelphia Union are hot on their tail. Whereas in the Western Conference, the Seattle Sounders lead the way, followed closely behind by LA Galaxy and the Portland Timbers, whilst in each conference is St. Louis and the New York Red Bulls, who find themselves bottom of their respective conferences. We'll be taking on both last place New York and second place Philadelphia here in today's episode. We'll also be playing our first rematches of the season against Chicago Fire and New York City FC, as well as taking on the Columbus Crew for the first time. I have been refining the tactics that we have been using in game, and I've had some requests in the comments to go into a bit more detail in those, so we'll do that ahead of our first game. So the basic setup is a somewhat modified 4-2-4 formation. We have a flat back 4 with Bai, Neumann, Kessler and Lima standing in for the injured Dewan Jones. Leonard Maloney is in a defensive midfield role, whilst Carles Hill is in an attacking midfield role. Nacho Hill, brother of Carles, is on the right, just right midfield, whereas Thomas Chonkalai is advanced to a left wing position. Rodriguez and Vrioni are standard strikers. In terms of the tactics, we are focused on wing play. We are set to press after losing possession. Team width is default at 50. Depth is slightly higher up the field. We have some pacey defenders, so we can afford to play a little bit higher at 65. Slow build up in our half. However, direct passing when we enter the opposition's half. 70 width. And then players in the box, corners, free kicks. We don't commit too many of those during open play. In our standard game plan, we do have our fullbacks set to stay back while attacking. Nacho Hill on the right hand side is set to come back on defense and is set to stay wide, also to get into the box for the cross. Carles Hill is set to come back on defense as well, but stay on the edge of the box for the cross. Leonard Maloney is set to stay back while attacking. It's really these front 3 that we're looking to utilize on the front foot in our standard game plan. So Chonkalai is set to stay forward and stay wide. Rodriguez, Vrioni also set to stay forward. They're set to get in behind in terms of their attacking runs. In our defensive game plan, we do set up in just a straight 4-4-2 formation. In terms of the tactics, we're still on wing play, but just pressure on heavy touch, a little bit deeper now, so slightly more conservative in these areas. And the same here, more conservative in our chance creation. We're just on balance rather than on direct passing. Even more conservative in terms of the players we're committing into the box. And then the same thing in terms of the player instructions, more conservative. Carles Hill is still set to get forward, but Nacho, come back on defense. Chonkalai, not set to stay forward either. Rodriguez and Vrioni are both set to stay forward still on this particular game plan. In terms of our attacking game plan, we have the same formation as our default, but of course our tactics are slightly more aggressive. So again, we are back up to 65 depth, pressing after possession loss, but we are committing more players into the box from open play and from corners. Balance now in our own half, direct passing in the opponents, and player instructions are a bit more aggressive as well. Lima does stay back, even on the attacking game plan, to form more of a back 3, whereas Brandon Bai is now set to join the attack and overlap Nacho Hill. Pretty much the same for the rest of the players. Chonkalai set to stay forward. Same for Rodriguez. Vrioni also set to get in behind. And then finally, on our ultra defensive game plan, we drop back into a 5-4-1. Leonard Maloney does have that positional versatility. He can play CDM or centre back, so he drops into the back line to form a back 5 when we're looking to defend a lead. Rodriguez also has a bit of positional flexibility, dropping from striker into that right midfield position. Not ideal in the centre of midfield with Nacho and Carles Hill, but we can always make substitutions here if we're looking to protect our lead late in a game. So those are the tactics that we'll be using as we head into today's game. As for the sliders we'll be using, I have dropped another slider update video. Version 6 of my realistic FC24 sliders are now on the channel, so make sure you check out that video if you haven't already. The gameplay, to some extent, is the most realistic it's been all year in some specific areas. There are still areas in which the game is lacking, however, as is so often the case. But with all that being said, let's get into our games for today, building towards a featured game in the middle of the month against Philadelphia Union, which we will be playing in full. And starting out here with a game against Chicago Fire. We will be quick simming this game. I'll show you highlights of the following one against New York Red Bulls as well. We came out 2-1 winners against Chicago Fire when we played them last month. So a repeat of that particular result would be particularly good, especially since we lost so many games last month. We won just a single game in the previous calendar month, so a win here would go a long way. However, Chicago managed to reverse the result and actually run out 2-1 winners. Carles Gil opened the scoring just 20 minutes into the game. He scored what I think that might be his third goal this season now. Acosta leveled it for Chicago just after the break before Gutierrez came on for Shaqiri and stole the winner about 15 minutes from time. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's time at Manchester United was marred by a lack of control over the dressing room, and Henry Kessler has already visited with the new manager. The players unhappy that the club hasn't turned around its fortunes quickly enough. Another criticism of Solskjaer at United was that he wasn't willing enough to stray from his tactics, his style of play, his methods. And it looks as though he's sticking to his guns again here in New England, going with the same starting 11 that just lost 2-1 against Chicago. And we were handed somewhat of an advantage immediately in this game. Peter Stroud being sent off 2 minutes into the game for this reckless and dangerous challenge on Carles Gil from behind. And from that moment, we were absolutely dominant in this first half, coming out of the gates absolutely flying. Luciano Rodriguez let rip with this shot from just outside the box. It was curling into the top corner. The goalkeeper was floundering, but it just glanced off the top of the crossbar. But 2 minutes later, we did have our opening goal. Thomas Chonkalai finding Giacomo Vrioni with a really good run into the box. He takes it down beautifully, as we've seen so often so far this season. Another touch with his left foot before he buried it in the far corner. And barely 4 minutes later, we doubled our lead. Leonard Maloney this time lifting the ball into the box for Vrioni to nod it onto Rodriguez. He hit the bar moments earlier. This one he tucked neatly away to make it 2-0 10 minutes into the game. And what the goalkeeper was doing on this one, I have no idea. He threw the ball directly to Thomas Chonkalai, but his shot narrowly went wide. This would have made it 3-0 just before the break. We pretty much overran 10-man Red Bull New York, and Henry Kessler made it 3-0 shortly into the second half. He nodded down a corner from Carles Gil into the bottom corner. Nothing the goalkeeper could do about this one. However, it does seem we still have some kinks to work out defensively. 1 minute we were 3-0 up and flying. The next, Corey Burke had pulled one back for New York. This was a disappointing effort from Tyler Dean at the near post. And 3 minutes after that, Corey Burke had another. Kessler really letting the side down this time. And all of a sudden, it was New England 3, Red Bull 2. And they were back in it. And it looked for a moment as though Red Bull might even equalize. Tyler Dean does make a good save on this particular occasion, though, diving away to his right-hand side. We did manage to ride out the storm. It lasted about 15 minutes or so before we took control of the game once more. And Thomas Chonkalai again put it beyond doubt, driving into the penalty area, firing with his right foot across the goalkeeper, making it 4-2, before Bobby Wood absolutely buried this free kick in the top bins to make it 5. So aside from those 15 minutes where we kind of fell apart a little bit at the back, it was an absolutely dominant performance. We were facing the team that are bottom of the conference, and they did go down to 10 men just 2 minutes into the game, but we still absolutely put New York to the sword in this one, and hopefully we can carry this momentum into the featured game against Philadelphia Union. Despite that dominant victory, we do fall out of the playoff picture into 8th place, but we do have a game in hand or two on a number of the teams above us. Philadelphia continue to sit in 2nd behind Inter Miami, and it is Philadelphia we face in our next game, our featured game of the episode. They're on a good run of form, 3 wins in the last 5 and just 1 loss, with a very, very balanced team. However, they are set up to play a 4-4-2 diamond, so a very, very narrow formation, and I think we're going to be able to exploit this down the wings like we were able to do against Toronto earlier in the season. For that reason, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made a couple of changes to his starting 11. Boateng comes in at right midfield, a bit more pace than Nacho Hill running in behind, and Kay comes into midfield as well. Other than that, the 11 remains Tyler Dean in goal, Brandon Bai, Phil Neumann, Henry Kessler and Lima as the back 4. Carles Gil joins Kay in midfield, Chonkalai opposite Boateng, Rodriguez and Vrioni up front. So without further ado, let's head over to Gillette Stadium and see if we can put in another dominant performance here against Philadelphia in front of the home fans. So we are up in the commentary box at Gillette for an evening kickoff here in the MLS. A chance to put in really good back-to-back performances against, well, I was going to say what should be two of the weaker teams. I wouldn't have thought Philadelphia Union were going to be one of the stronger teams in the MLS. But it seems as though they are in second place early in the season here. Only behind Inter Miami. New York, certainly one of the weaker sides, bottom of the conference. But I certainly think we should have the advantage here at home. And in terms of our system. Vrioni driving into the penalty area. Has to turn back and release to Boateng, though, who just searches for Chonkalai at the back post. Can't quite find him. Brandon Bai will do the same. Brandon Bai almost finds Chonkalai, but hooked clear by the Philadelphia defender. We saw in the pre-match report that Philadelphia are going to be setting up very, very narrow. So I think we're going to find space in behind for Chonkalai, for Boateng. That's why he is in the starting lineup today. His pace to really stretch and challenge the Philadelphia midfield, really, because their fullbacks are going to have some support from somewhere. Brandon Bai, good defending, but couldn't quite get the foot in. Phil Neumann did not make the challenge, but Henry Kessler did. I think I was calling him Liam Kessler earlier in the series, potentially. So apologies if that was the case. I believe it is Henry Kessler. But Philadelphia take the corner short. Edge of the box now. And a shot from range is blocked. And again, after the second attempt, and Carlos Hill can come away with it on the quick counter attack. Just has to go backwards, however. I'm not so sure that we're going to have success with our wingers in behind necessarily today. It may be our fullbacks getting up and overlapping. That's a poor pass. Really poor pass from Phil Neumann. Looking for, I want to say Marcus K, but again, that could be wrong. Lima trying to break out of the back line and drive forward. Just loses possession, though. And now he's out of position as Philadelphia attack down their right-hand side for the first time. Carlos Hill back to do his defensive duties, though. K well positioned. Hill and Kay just kind of getting on top of each other a little bit there, and Tyler Dean has to parry away at the near post. Fairly bright start from Philadelphia away from home. In their kind of cream and light blue, I assume, away kit. Some of the kits in the MLS are pretty unique, fairly striking. I quite like a number of the kits. I always think Atlanta's looks really good. The red and the black with the gold trim always looks good. The same kind of colour scheme as the Falcons. Not so much the gold trim, but the red and the black, of course. And again, Philadelphia not letting up in terms of pressure. Brandon Bai collects. Giacomo Vrioni running in behind. And Carles Hill inside him. Vrioni does find him. And he's just going to try and curl one into that far corner from the edge of the box. Hill was waiting for the run of Luciano Rodriguez there, but it never really materialized. So he just tried to shape one into that far corner, as we saw Rodriguez himself do in the last game against New York. Rodriguez, of course, hit the bar with that particular attempt. And Philadelphia doing a good job of working through midfield. That is, of course, the advantage of playing that narrow diamond formation. You do have a lot of help through the centre of midfield. And Philadelphia are dominating us in that particular area at the moment. And that will likely continue over the course of the game, to be honest. Chunkalai with a run in behind. Not really one that Lima is able to use to his advantage, though. And where is Kessler? No clue, but Tyler Dean somehow beats him to the ball. Chunkalai. Lima on the overlapping run, but again, we couldn't quite find him. And Kessler is... I'm not sure if that's Kessler or Neumann. I'm still yet to change one of their pairs of boots, just so I can more easily tell the difference between the two at the back. It's actually Neumann who was struggling to get back into the play, and that's because he is actually injured. He's picked up a knock here in the first half, and he does just hook the ball clear in the direction of Rioni, who nods it down to Brandon Bai, who can't find the feet of Rioni once more. Philadelphia are actually proving much more difficult to break down than I anticipated. And much more difficult, particularly in the areas that I thought we would be able to exploit. We really haven't been able to get outside them. And that might be because Boateng is, for some reason, coming so narrow. He is not instructed to do that by any means, but he keeps picking up positions in the centre of midfield. And he's given away the ball there for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And again, Philadelphia press. Brandon Bai, good defending. And finds Vrioni. Let's get the ball up the field. Vrioni is going to be able to do that. But we have very little support. Rodriguez making a run across the box. Vrioni doesn't quite find him. Blake is quick off his line to collect the cross, and look where Boateng is. He's so narrow. I've got no clue why he's tucked all the way in there. And that's really not useful for our counter-attacks. And look where Boateng is. He's playing almost CDM at the moment. I literally have no idea why he's stepping back into those kinds of positions when we don't have the ball, because that of course means that he's not in position to get us forward on a quick counter-attack. Good save by Tyler Dean, as Philadelphia continue to look the more likely to score here in this first half, as they do go short with the corner once more. Carles Hill can't win it back, neither can Brandon Bai. On the second attempt, he does manage to do just that. And Brandon Bai will carry the ball away on this left-hand side. But again, there's nobody in a position to get us going on a quick counter-attack. Boateng finally taking up a position in a wide area. And this is where we thought we could stretch Philadelphia, especially with this pace of Boateng, who lifts it into the box, collected by Blake. That's more like it, though. That's what we've been looking... Well, that's what we should have been looking to do for the last half an hour or so. But we just haven't played the game in that way. And a large part of that is Boateng's bizarre positioning. And Carlos Hill this time just drifts forward. Just backs away, backs away, backs away. It's been a frustrating first half. This system is become so disjointed in this first half. We looked so good in the last game against New York, and we're just all at odds in this one. Boateng does manage to win it back though. Chunkalai away on this left-hand side. Again, the support just doesn't materialize anywhere near quickly enough, and we have to go backwards. Kessler stepping up though, as is Phil Neumann. Giacomo Vrioni into the box, onto his right foot, shoots across goal, parried away by Blake, and eventually collected. And it's actually our centre-backs there who get us going, moving up the pitch. Neumann has managed to run off that injury as well. which is good to see. He's an important player, Phil Neumann. One of our better defenders and certainly our paciest defender. As Lima just sees it out. And look where Boateng is again. He's tucked in like a, not even a CDM, like an LDM role. No clue why he's choosing to do that. Carles Heel. Giacomo Vrioni is just offside, I believe. Linesman's flag stays down. Carles Heel on the edge of the box. Thomas Chonkalai with room to shoot. Blocked and away for a corner. I was certain the linesman's flag was going to go up there as Vrioni broke away. He must have been narrowly onside. But Carles Heel will deliver this corner as we search for one of our centre-backs in the box is Henry Kessler, who does manage to turn it towards goal. But again is saved by Blake, this time pretty comfortably. And Boateng steals it away. Vrioni making another good run in behind. Nods it down to Carles Heel, who can't quite get the shot away. Rodriguez collects, however. There's Kay. Hasn't made much of an impact on the first half. And tries to loft one in behind for Carles Heel to chase. Cut out by the Philadelphia defence, though. And Blake is able to clear. Brandon Bai can't win the header. And he's out of position now. Kay has to come across to shut that avenue of attack down. Does a good job of doing that. Philadelphia, however, continue to press forwards. The referee, however, blows his half-time whistle. And it is going to be all square at the break. A pretty cagey first half. Philadelphia, you would have to say, probably had the better of it. But we had our chances in the first half as well. I'm going to double check our player instructions and things, because I literally cannot explain why Boateng is behaving the way that he's behaving, but he might just have to come off. So yeah, no clue why Boateng is dropping in so deep and so narrow to defend. All I've done for the time being is take him off, come back on defence. So hopefully that will allow him to hold his position a little more. I think potentially, although already I can see him jogging back out from a very narrow position. The only explanation I have is that Boateng is set to come back on defence. And when Vrioni drops in a little bit as well, because we have basically three across the front with Vrioni, Rodriguez and Chonkalai, Vrioni kind of drops back into a kind of defensive right wing, right midfield position. So that then forces Boateng further back and further in. That would be my explanation for it. Carles Heel. That was about to drop right onto the head of Luciano Rodriguez. But we do have a corner early here in this first half that Carles Heel will again deliver. Kessler was being absolutely manhandled in the area. Chonkalai strikes from the edge of the box. Carles Heel lifts it in, looking for Rodriguez once more. And he just couldn't quite get the power on the header. Did really well to turn it towards goal. It was an awkward kind of angle and an awkward body shape for Rodriguez. He did well just to get the effort on target. Couldn't kind of wrench his head around to generate any real power on the header, though. Chonkalai into the box. Straight into the hands of Blake. Looking for Boateng at the back post. Couldn't quite find him. And Blake will again clear up the field. Brandon Bai does well to win the header this time. Chonkalai out on the left-hand side. Nice little half turn to get away from his man. Looking for Rodriguez. Takes it down. And what's this? I think it's a free kick. It's offside. Wasn't sure if that was going to be offside or a handball from Rodriguez. He was narrowly offside. As Blake again clears up the field, but again we win the header. Can't retain possession though. Look where Boateng is again. But look where Vrioni is. This is what I mean. He pushes all the way over to that right-hand side. Vrioni is on stay forward though. So again, I can't really explain why he's dropping in to defend in the first place. Frioni, can he find the feet of Boateng? Yes, he can. Poor touch from Boateng. He does manage to wriggle away from the Philadelphia player. Regardless, Brandon Bai, of course, runs immediately in front of Boateng to take away any possible option. Bai. Carles Gil can't quite bring it down. We are pressing in this second half, though. We've had a much better start than Philadelphia have. Yet to create any real clear-cut opportunities, but we are enjoying a bit more possession, a bit more pressure. We are finding the gaps in the Philadelphia defense a little bit more often now. Good intervention initially by Carles Gil, but couldn't retain possession, and Lima absolutely sells out Neumann. And Philadelphia are away here. Really good challenge by Kessler, though. Dealt with that incredibly well. And Frioni just saw the run of Chonkalai in on that left-hand side, but couldn't quite get the pass away in time. Kay comes across, deals with that one. We've defended so well in the second half so far. Neumann switches the play to Lima. Chonkalai up ahead. Another nice little half turn. Finds Brandon Bai with space to run at Philadelphia. And a couple of runners up ahead of him. Swings it into the box, though. Looking for Rodriguez, who hits it on the volley. What a ball in from Brandon Bai. Dropped it right onto the left foot of Rodriguez. But the effort on the volley goes wide. That was our clearest opportunity of the second half. Maybe our clearest opportunity of the game. We really could have done with that hit in the back of the net. Kessler wins the header. Chonkalai halted in his tracks this time. Big switch of players on again to Brandon Bai, who can bring it down. He's taken an age to do so, though. Boateng in behind. He starts running in behind, and he starts running the opposite direction. As soon as Brandon Bai is ready to pass the ball to him, he starts running the opposite direction. Carles Gil, space to shoot. Is that blocked? It is blocked, and it's out for a corner. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to make a change or two before this corner comes in. Carles Gil again to deliver it. And it seems as though Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had enough of Boateng. He's going to come off to be replaced by Nacho Gil. Leonard Maloney on in midfield as well, in place of Kay. Gil delivers the corner once more. There's Kessler, parried away again by Blake. Frioni at the back post. It hits the back post as Frioni tried to poke it over the line. Somehow it stays out. And Philadelphia are in on a quick counter-attack. Again, such a good intervention by Kessler. He's been a rock at the back today. Rodriguez, heavy touch. Sends it back Philadelphia's way. Who managed to cut inside and find space in the penalty area. Good save, Tyler Dean. Dangerous situation. The shot across the face of goal. Parried away by our rookie first-round goalkeeper, though. Bit of a disappointing performance from him against New York. And Philadelphia are in again. Saved at the near post by Dean. I hate it when the CPU get the ball on the touchline. If you don't press tackle, you just bounce off them and they just dribble pretty much up to the goal line. If you do press tackle, you're at such a great risk of giving away a penalty. It's just an impossible situation to defend. Lima, good defending. And manages to clip the ball out to Rodriguez on this left-hand side. Finds the run of Carles Gil inside him. Giacomo Frioni just ahead. Time and space to finish. What a save by the goalkeeper. Nacho Gil was up in support. Perhaps that would have been the better option for Frioni. After the heavy touch, took him a little too close to the goalkeeper. And Philadelphia have managed to work it clear. We had them pinned back for a moment there with the high press. Chonkalai steals it away. Carles Gil on the left-hand side with time and space. Can he finish? Straight at the goalkeeper. Two incredible opportunities. 15 minutes from time. We should be a goal up. Nacho heel. We need Brandon Bye on that overlapping run. Eventually it comes. It's a poor pass from Nacho though. Brandon Bye still in a position to collect. Eventually to cross. Headed clear by Philadelphia. Leonard Maloney can't win it back. Neither can Brandon Bye. He's beaten. It's going to be up to Phil Neumann to stop this attack now. Doesn't manage to do so on the first attempt. Philadelphia into the box. Pulled back across goal. And what a save by Tyler Dean. This game has really opened up in the last 10 minutes or so. Tyler Dean receives the adulation of his teammates, and rightly so, because that's a fantastic save to keep us in it. We should have scored at one end. Should have conceded at the other very shortly after. And again, Philadelphia managed to find their way into the box. Cleared away into the path of Chonkalai. Rodriguez with a run in behind. Is he onside? I believe he is. And he's going to have the pace to get into the box and to finish. There's the goal that has been coming for one team or the other. And it does come for the New England Revolution. And Luciano Rodriguez, I was starting to think that it wouldn't. But really good defending again at the back by, I think, Henry Kessler, who's been incredible today. Manages to clear into the feet of Chonkalai. And Rodriguez, he was just never being caught. The Philadelphia defenders on their last legs at this point. They've been stretched in behind by Rodriguez, by Frioni, by Boateng all game long. And Rodriguez does finally make the pressure tell. 10 minutes to go. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to make a change or two here to try and secure this lead. So another change for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The goal scorer Rodriguez comes off to be replaced by Andrew Farrell. And we are going to drop into our ultra defensive game plan, which means Giacomo Vrioni up front alone at this point. And it means dropping into a back five. That's where Farrell has come on to play. Leonard Maloney remains in midfield. A bit of additional cover in front of that defensive unit. And it's actually two changes. Bayrak Karevic came on as well for Carles Heel. Good defending immediately by Farrell. And Chonkalai can't quite win possession as we clear away. Just looking to see this game out. Good save, Tyler Dean, and he holds on to it. Incredible goalkeeping. So about 10 minutes to go in the game, including stoppage time. And 10 minutes just to hold on to this one goal lead. I don't fancy us to double our lead at any point here. So if we can just keep possession as much as possible and for as long as possible, that's a reckless challenge. That's a booking for the Philadelphia man, and it will give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a chance to bring on his final substitute 5 minutes from time. So it's going to be Giacomo Vrioni to leave the field. Bobby Wood to come on to replace him. So some fresh legs up front. Somebody who's going to be able to press for these last 5 minutes or so. Somebody who's going to be able to chase some long balls in behind if we do need to make use of a release valve at any point. I'm hoping to just keep possession though, as we are doing here with Bayrak Karevic and with Leonard Maloney. Bobby Wood was in a good position, but of course as soon as you shape to pass to him, he runs away from the position that he's taken up. Well won back though. Well won back. And again, the same thing. Lima's making that run. As soon as I press pass, he stops. Philadelphia trying to press for an equaliser. We do have plenty of bodies back. We are set up very well to defend any Philadelphia attack. Leonard Maloney doing a very good job of that. And it forces a shot from range, and that's going to be comfortable for Tyler Dean all game long. And we are a minute into 3 minutes of stoppage time. Tyler Dean milking the clock for all it's worth, and just sends one long to Bobby Wood, who wins the header. finds the feet of Nacho Hill, and this should be it. We can take the ball into the corner. We can while away these last few seconds. We don't need to cross the ball. We will take that, though. If the Philadelphia player is going to commit, across the goal, but away with the foot of the goalkeeper. And the referee's final whistle does go, and it is a narrow 1-0 victory. 7 goals in the previous game, just 1 goal here in New England. But fortunately, it's 1 goal that goes in favour of New England. And we do put 3 additional points on the board, and that should help us to climb back into those playoff places. A decent enough performance from Philadelphia. They tested us at times, and we couldn't really exploit them in the way that we thought we might be able to ahead of the game. But we do just enough to get over the finish line here. Luciano Rodriguez with the winner. And that could prove to be an important victory come the end of the season. And we do indeed move back up into the playoff places, still with a game in hand or 2 on a number of those teams around us, and an opportunity to solidify that position in these final 2 games in the month of May. One against New York City FC, which we'll quick sim, and then I'll show you highlights of our matchup against Columbus Crew to round out the episode. It was a disappointing 3-1 defeat last time out against New York, and we do go one better this time, managing a draw. Thomas Chonkalai opened the scoring in the 22nd minute before New York equalised just before halftime. Chonkalai again got the party started in the second half before Martinez equalised just 3 minutes from time. My prediction didn't really come to fruition against Philadelphia, but again, I'm going to predict being able to get in down the wings. Columbus will set up in a 3-4-2-1, similar to the Toronto formation that we had so much success exploiting. They do, however, have a token player that I do recognise, Cucho Hernandez, former Manchester United man. May be familiar to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but certainly familiar to me, and will have to be very wary on defence when Columbus have the ball. As for Solskjaer himself, he has made a couple of changes to his 11 once more. Boateng, for some reason, keeps his role in the first team, but moves into the Thomas Chonkalai position just behind Rodriguez and Vrioni. Spalding comes in at left back. Holster comes in to replace Maloney in midfield. We really didn't get off to the start that we were looking for in this one, as Columbus Crew took an early lead 10 minutes into the game. A really nicely worked pass and move down the left-hand side, setting their striker away and into the box, and it was a really clinical finish. And Columbus were pushing to double their lead when Tyler Dean kept out this effort about half an hour into the game. A diving header from the Columbus number 10, but Tyler Dean equally astute in his dive away to his right-hand side. And then 5 or 6 minutes later, Boateng burst away down the left-hand side, put a somewhat underpowered cross into the box, but it got just enough on it to bounce in front of Giacomo Vrioni, who hit it on the half volley with his left foot first time, buried the finish past the Columbus goalkeeper. And into the second half, the game turned into utter nonsense. Every goal that Columbus scored in this second half came from a failed tackle in the build-up. I say a failed tackle, a successful tackle that just bounced back to Columbus anyway. So Yeboah made it 2-1 for Columbus. This one was hit back across goal through the legs of Tyler Dean. It did go down as an own goal for the goalkeeper. And then finally, Yeboah makes it for, again, a successful tackle in the build-up. But our reward for that is Columbus are in behind and our player is left for dead. Vrioni did manage to nick another one late. Bolmer this time finding him in the box. Again, a first-time volleyed finish from Vrioni to make it 4-2. But the game was beyond all doubt at this point, well into the 90th minute. Carlos Hill did also pick up an injury in the game, but it does just look like it's going to be a 5-day injury, so he should be back for our next game. That next game is against Nashville, who we haven't faced in the series so far. Neither have we faced the Vancouver Whitecaps. We'll be facing them in the next episode as well. We also have rematches against New York Red Bulls, against FC Cincinnati, and against the Columbus Crew to get to. It's a disappointing way to round out the episode with that 2-goal defeat at Columbus Crew, but it was a much more positive episode and month than the previous. 2 wins and a draw gives us 7 points from our 5 games, which is not a bad tally. Does, however, mean we are still just on the periphery of the playoff picture rather than right in amongst the teams. We still do have 2 games in hand, so if we can win both of those, that puts us on 26 points and right in amongst it. Into Miami, however, racing away with the Eastern Conference on a massive 40 points already from just 17 games, 13 of which they've managed to win. So there are some growing pains still to figure out, but we are starting to find our feet a little bit here in Season 1. We will look to continue to do that in the next episode. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.